Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet these pretty little rose flowers or rosettes. I recently used these in a scarf that I knit and I had a lot of fun making them. They're very easy to crochet and assemble. You really only need very basic crochet techniques for this, and they work as really pretty accents to a scarf or pretty much any project, even a hat. It would look really cute. If you, depending on the size of your flower, you're gonna need a certain number of stitches and a certain number of petals. So I've provided a general pattern below for a flower size about this big in this example that I'm showing here, this purple flower. And for this project, or to knit or to crochet these flowers, you will need a crochet hook that's appropriate for the yarn that you're using. So if you're using worsted weight yarn like this one, or really skinny yarn like fingering weight yarn, then just make sure your crochet hook is appropriate. For worsted weight, a size G or a size H will work just fine. You might want to go a little bit smaller for fingering weight yarn. All right, so let me show you how to crochet the flower. Okay, so all I've done is I've put a slip knot and then I've started to make a chain. Now you can make, depending on the size of your flower, you can make a longer chain or a shorter chain, but you want it to be a multiple of 4. So in this case, in the pattern that I've provided below, I'm having you make a chain of 44 stitches. So for the demonstration though, I'm only going to do about 16 stitches, just in the interest of time. But I've chained about 12 so far, and let me go ahead and chain the remaining 4. So for a slower demonstration of making a chain, you can check out one of my other videos, but otherwise all you're doing is wrapping the hook around and inserting it and making the chain. Just to be on the safer side, it's okay to do an extra chain just in case, because you'd rather have extra left at the end than not have enough. Okay? All right, once you've done that, the next step would be to skip the next chain, and then into the chain after that, we're going to be making some double crochets or treble crochets. This is a double crochet in the US, and it's a treble crochet in the UK. Okay, just checking. I always get confused on that, so just checking that. So this is a double crochet if you're in the US, or a treble crochet in the UK. So to do that, you're gonna loop the yarn around, skip that next stitch and insert it into the top loop of the stitch or the chain after that, and pull the yarn through. Then we bring the yarn over once and the yarn over once more, and that's how you make a treble crochet again, or a double crochet in the US. Again, if you want a slower demonstration of this, I've got a separate video. Just check that out. I've provided a link below. And what you want to do is go back into that same hole into which we made this treble crochet and make another 7 treble crochets. So in that single chain, we're going to be making a total of 8 treble crochets. So that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it'll start to look like that hole is really kind of gotten big, and you've got this nice little fan of trebles right there. What you want to do next is skip the next stitch. So here's the stitch that we did all our trebles in. This here would be the next stitch. We're going to skip that one, and we're going to join this treble to the stitch after that, the chain after that, using a slip stitch. So just insert, pull through once, and pull through twice. Okay? That would be a single crochet in the UK, but a slip stitch in the US. It's the same thing. Okay, then you want to skip the next chain after that, or the next stitch, that next chain, and do the same thing over in the chain after that, as in 8 trebles. So we're going to skip that next chain, I'm going to insert it into the top loop of the chain after that and do 8 trebles. And you're pretty much going to keep doing this to the end of the chain. So this is why you needed a multiple of 4 stitches or 4 chains, because with each of these sort of petals that you're creating, you're using up 4 stitches. So 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you're going to do the same thing again. You're going to skip the next chain. You're going to join it in the chain after that. So I'm right here in this one. I'm going to skip this next chain and then go in here, and then skip the chain after that and go into the next one to do my next set of 8 trebles. And so you're going to keep doing this to the end of the chain. Okay, and as you work on this, this is what it'll look like. It's gonna be ugly and not quite, it's gonna curl upon itself like this, not quite look like a flower yet, but that's fine. That's how it's supposed to look. Now when you get to the end, then you're just gonna bind off or pull your yarn through. Pull the yarn through the last, the yarn through the loop that's left on the hook, and you're done. At this point now, you're going to need your tapestry needle to start joining or creating the flower. So this last petal that you just made is going to end up being the first petal in the center of the rose. So what I like to do is I like to insert these 2 pieces of yarn through the center of that flower. Okay, and you do want to leave a long tail, because that's what we're going to use to sew the flower together. So make sure the tail is at least about 10 inches long or so. All right, this other tail will weave that end in at the end, so don't need to worry about that. Once that's done, what you want to do is thread your needle or thread your yarn into the needle. Have a hard time with this, especially with bulkier yarns. I'm using a smaller tapestry needle here. Okay, here we go. And you're going to start curling the flower together, essentially assembling the flower together. And as you do that, you're going to start joining the petals to the back side. Okay, so let's do the first petal, and then have the second petal like this on top. Flip your work and insert your yarn through any part of that first petal. You don't want to insert it too deep so it appears on the other side, but you're inserting it to one of these back petals here, and then insert it through one of the loops of the right petal, or the second petal rather. Okay, make sure you attach it well. So do one more attachment right here. Again, insert through this, make sure it catches on the other petal as well. Bring it back through here, and you can check to make sure that it's not, your needle isn't showing from the other side, and then pull. Okay, so you've started to form your petal, and now you're your own architect. You can decide how you want your petals to look. If you want them really close together, you want them a little bit further apart, but you're essentially going to keep doing the same process, whereby you're attaching one petal at a time, and each time kind of go in to the existing petal and bring it out on the new petal. So for the one attachment, and then go back in and insert it again to make sure your petal is firmly attached. Okay, and we'll attach the next one. We'll do it one more time. So 2 attachments per petal is how I like to do it. And then let's attach this guy. And this is the back side of the flower, so even if it's a little bit on the messier side, your stitches as you're attaching here, that's fine. It's not going to be seen. It's not going to be seen on the front side. And just keep checking. You could just do it all facing the back side, but it's kind of nice to check and make sure that your petals are falling in the right shape that you want your flower to appear. So let's attach this petal. I'm gonna attach it at least twice. Okay. Maybe like that. And this is where again you have flexibility. You can change the shape of your rosette to have it more of like a bud, or where it's opened up a little bit. And just make sure you're uncurling the petals as you are sewing them. And again, keep checking. Do it once more here. Attach this petal a second time. Again, we attach each petal at least twice just to make sure that it's nice and firm. And yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and attach these other petals all facing the wrong side without looking, because I think I like the way it looks. Once and then twice, and then this last petal. I'll bring this in just a little bit more to tuck it in. I'm going to attach him once. More. And at this point you can check to see that all the petals are attached, nothing's falling out. And if you want to attach beads to the center, at this point you can use the beads that you want. I have some beads here. For the bead, make sure that you use a hook, a crochet hook that your bead can actually go in, or if you have a needle that'll go through the bead, that's fine too. You can use the needle to attach. In my case, my tapestry needle is a little too big for this bead, but if I wanted to attach this bead, then after I've secured the flower, or even before, I could use the same yarn and bring it up through the center. And then essentially take my bead and bring the yarn through the bead, which again may be a little bit difficult with this bead and this yarn because it's a bulky yarn and the bead is tiny. So I don't quite have it yet, but I'm going to try it one more time. You have to be careful when you're working with beads. They love to jump about. All right, let's try one more time. Let's pull this through. Yes, success, I think. Yes. Okay, so you can bring the bead in, pull the yarn through, situate your bead in the center, and then rethread the yarn through the needle and put the yarn back. And you would do this the number of times you want with the beads, or actually you would put all 3 beads in, and then 3 or 4 or 5 or how many ever beads you want, and then bring the yarn back, and then you have your bead attached to the flower. In this case I'm just using blue and purple, so it's not as visible or as pretty looking, I guess, or contrasting. When you're done, just take the other yarn that was there, the cast on yarn or the yarn at the start, and just make a knot once and a double knot, and then you can use this long tail again to sew it onto your piece, and this is how you would make a nice little rosette. I hope you give this one a try, and if you want to see more videos, you can please subscribe to my channel, Knittycat's Knits. Happy knitting, and in this case, happy crocheting.